أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين خاتم النبيين بالقاسم محمد وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. أما بعد فقد قال الله تبارك وتعالى وقوله الحق وهو أصدق القائلين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الله نور السماوات والأرض مثل نوره كمشكاة فيها مصباح المصباح في زجاجة الزجاجة كأنها كوكب دري يوقد من شجرة زيتونة لا شرقية ولا غربية يكاد زيتها يضيء ولو لم تمسسه نار نور على نور يهدي الله لنوره من يشاء ويضرب الله الأمثال للناس والله بكل شيء عليم صدق الله العلي العظيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Inshallah, we will start with the dua for the day number 13 of the month of Ramadan, in which we recite Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Allahumma tahhirni fihi min al-danas wal-aqdar وصبرني فيه على كائنات الأقدار ووفقني فيه للتقى والصحبة الأبرار بعونك يا قرة عين المساكين. We make dua that, O Allah, on this day, please purify me against filth and dirt, and grant me on this day steadfastness against vicissitude of time, and lead me on this day to piety and companionship of the upright ones, out of your assistant, O the delight of the poor ones. Inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepts our dua on this 13th day of the month of Ramadan. Welcome back. The verse that I recited is the same verse that I've been reciting for the past couple of nights. And the discussion has been under the concept of Nur. And therefore we spoke about that initial verse from Surah Ibrahim, the first ayat, which highlights and talks about the concept of Nur. And then in the last couple of nights, I have recited this ayat from Surah Nur, chapter 24, verse number 35 from the Holy Quran. It's a lengthy verse, and I'll read the translation there. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that indeed Allah is the Nur of Samawat and Earth, that Allah is the light of the heavens and the earth. The parable of his light is the niche where is a lamp. The lamp is in a glass, and the glass, if it were a glittering star, lit from a blessed olive tree, neither eastern nor western, whose oil almost lights up, though fire should not touch it. Light upon light, Allah guides to his light whomever he wishes. Allah draws parables for mankind, and Allah has knowledge of all things. If you remember, in the past couple of nights, we discussed various concepts under this ayah as far as the nur and the light and illumination and the anwar that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created. And of course, we have not nearly done justice to what has to be said in reference to this ayah, because there's so much there's so much discussion in the books of tafsir. Therefore, I will refrain from going into too much, and inshallah tonight we will try and close off this discussion, and we'll move on to something else tomorrow inshallah. The first discussion, just to bring us back to where we were last night, that we had talked about some of these words that have appeared in this ayah. So we begin with the very first word, which says Allah, before we get to the word Nur, Samawat, Ard, and then some of the keywords that are used in this ayah, Kamishkat, Zujaja, Kawkabun Durriyun, and all of those words that are specifically used in this ayah and may not have been used other places in Quran. So we concluded the fact that the word Allah is Ismul Jalala, which means ismun mustajmi'un li jami'i sifat jamalihi wa jalalihi wa kamalihi. I may have added something in this, but jalalihi wa kamalihi, I think. That this name is something which encompasses in it all of the sifat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whether they're sifat jamali, whether they're sifat kamali. All of them are included in this name Allah. So you can go ahead and name all of those 99 names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or those 1,000 names that we recite in Joshina Kabir, or Asma'i Azam, all of the names that are associated with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The most comprehensive name of Allah is the word Allah, and therefore it's called Ismul Jalala, and there are specific rules pertaining this name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We briefly touched upon the fact that what is the root of this word. One is aliha, second is waliha, third is la'aha. If it's taken from the root aliha, it means ibadat, or ma'bud rather, that we are the abd of Allah and He is the ma'bud. If we take it from waliha, then it refers to that because as mankind we are, in absolute, hayrangi, as we call it. We're surprised by, the wujud of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's something which overwhelms us. We are awestruck when we see and we hear about the wujud of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So from that aspect, it refers to hayran, tahayyur. And third, la'aha, as I remember, if you remember last night, we talked about that it refers to hijab. The root word refers to the meaning, something which is concealed, which is not visible. Again, it is true for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that la yudrikuhul absar, that eyes are not capable of seeing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Not now, not ever, not in the day of judgment, and not now. You can't see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's not a makhluk, of course, he's not a makhluk, but he's not a being which could be seen. And therefore, there are many creations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that you and I as human beings, are unable to see them because of their, creation is so latif. But then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who's altaful altaf, the one who's created all of these latif things, it is, impossible to see him. And we gave an example of Hazrat Musa and his, companions when they went to the Mount, Tur, and they wanted to see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What happened to them? So up until this point, we discussed these couple of words, and inshallah, I'll take you into the other words that are used in this ayah. So what does it mean that Allah is Nur? It means that, we gave again three possibilities, that either Allah is Munawwir of Samawat and Ard, the one who illuminates, lights up the heavens and the earth. Second meaning of the word, Nur was given as Allah is the Mudabbir and the planner of that which takes places in our planet. So the creation of all of the things that exist, all of the, our galaxy, our planet, our sun, the moon, all of these things, how they're working, it is under the plan of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the grand plan of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rather. And third is in the meaning of mujid, mujidus samawati wal ard, that what is the relationship of the word mujid with nur? We mentioned that mujid coming from wujud, wujud means existence. You can look at things and say, well, this thing exists or that thing exists. A tree exists, a person exists. But in order to go ahead and say, what is the essence of this existence? Again, you and I are unable to respond to that. So that's the same way this wujud is incomprehensible for us. We cannot have the idrak of this wujud. Similarly, this nur is also incomprehensible for us, and we cannot have any idrak of this nur either. And at this point, I recited a tradition from our eighth Imam, Imam Ali ibn Musa والسلام, in which Imam, when he was asked this question in reference to Allahu Nuru Samawati wal Ard, what was the response that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had given? Imam said, Hadiyun Man fi samawati wa hadiyun man fil ard. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is guide and hadi to all that is in the heavens, and He is the guide to all that is in the earth. And so it leads us to the word samawat, which I mentioned last night, is the plural. It has always come as a plural in relation to ard, which has always come as singular. Up until this point was the discussion that pretty much we had last night. From now, inshallah, we will look at some of the points that we can derive from this ayat. Nur is something which is illuminated itself, right? It does not need something else to illuminate it. Therefore, those things which are seeking, or providing light, if it's not their original, innate in their zat, that means, they're taking it from somewhere. So, for example, this lamp that is lit up in front of you, in your houses, anything that is taking its nur from somewhere else. The easiest concept to understand in this aspect is the moon. Moon does not have its own light. It takes it from the sun, and that's why it brightens up, on the 14th when it's full moon, and we are able to see it because the sunlight completely reflects on the moon, and therefore it becomes visible. But nur is something which is illuminated itself, and then it has the ability to illuminate others. So even these temporary lights, which are powered by something else, they also possess the capability of, paving the path for you, lighting up the path for you, illuminating things in front of you so that you're able to see. I'm reminded of a tradition from Amir al-Mu'mineen in reference to, this barq, this lightning, and the lightning and the nur that it produces. You go ahead and search and you find out that how much nur there is when this lightning strikes. And the concept is also mentioned in Surah Rad and other ayat of Quran. But how quick is it, right? How quickly it lights up and then it goes away. So Imam ﷺ drew a conclusion from this ra'ad, from this barq, from this lightning, that the example of someone who only sees that much which is seen from this light. How much can you see when lightning takes place? It is a matter of seconds. And whatever becomes visible, yes, it becomes visible entirely because it's so powerful, but only for time being. So why go for something which is only going to be temporary? So Imam derives from this the concept of this world. But coming back to our subject, in the Islamic culture, subjects which are mentioned as nur are Quran, knowledge, aql, faith, guidance, Islam, prophets, imams, etc. All of these are referred to in Quran as well as outside of Quran as what? As things which possess nur or are nur themselves. One of the words that is used in this ayat is mishkat. Mishkat literally means lantern, right? Or that vessel in which you will place this niche, which is usually built into a wall. It's deep so that you can put stuff in it. People build niches these days for various reasons. One of the reasons niche is built is so that you can keep, for example, back in the day at least, was to keep a lamp in there or light in there. And because it was deep inside the wall, the wind blowing will not put out the fire, so that the place would remain, lit up. So mishkat could be translated as lantern. Durriyun means luminescent. If you go by bulbs, you find there are different types of bulbs. Those who are dimmable, those are with the soft white, and there are different colors that they come in, and then they're luminescent. And all of these words are used as far as these lights are concerned. Zayt means olive, or olive oil rather, and which burns and the light is produced. So of course, back in the day, how is this light continue to remain up? Because there's some, zayt, there's some oil which is resting there, which slowly burns. And then of course, while the oil is burning, as long as there's oil in it, the light will continue to shine. If an olive tree, and that's why this is an observation, and farmers will tell you that if an olive tree, and usually they do plant these olive trees right in the middle of a garden, not in the east side or the west side or the one side or the other side, where it might not get enough, or might be supported by some other, or might be shadowed by some other, structures. They try to place it right in the middle of the garden. The reason they try and place it right in the middle of the garden mentions that so that it receives maximum sunlight. If it receives maximum sunlight all day long, because if it was in one of the sides or the other side, it will receive sunlight at one time and will not receive it at the other time. For example, if it's on one side of it, let's say it's on the west side of it, of the garden, and then its back is exposed, then it'll only see the light in the morning time. But then as soon as sun crosses over, and it goes to the west side, then of course the sun will not be shining over this tree. But the one which is on the east side will be receiving the maximum shine. From this, what we're trying to draw, I'm maybe boring you with some of these details, but you'll understand how important it is when we look at this ayat, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala used the word zaytunatin, la sharqiyatin wa la gharbiyatin. That this illumination, this nur, which is produced through this, zayt, through this olive oil is neither easterly nor westerly. And it makes a huge difference. If it's right in the middle, then it receives the light all day long in the maximum amount of it. And when it receives the light in that way, the olive will produce the best type of oil there is. And this is the example which is given over here as far as la sharqiyatin wa la gharbiyatin. No, it's not on the two extremes. Maybe another thing that you can derive out of it is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, keep things in moderation. He wants to see you moderate. He does not want to see you, in ifrat or tafrit. He does not want to see you, extravagant in one area and then lacking in the other area. There should be balance as far as your amal are concerned. There should be balance as far as your actions, your deeds, your speech, your work, your family life, your everything that you do, your sporting life, for example. All of these things should be in moderation. You should not just be your ibadat, should be moderate as well. You should not be, too much into any of these. Too much meaning, I may not have used the right word. You should be too much into all of these things, but you should not just focus on one thing and then neglect the other one. Unfortunately, what we see in our societies is that if a person becomes, zahid and muttaqi and parhezgar and ascetic, and who's Saimud Dahr, for example, and he's praying, lengthy prayers, and the person is known for fasting all year long, and all of these attributes that we see that are associated with certain individuals, then they start lacking in their other aspects of their life. Then they become muqaddas, and then they won't speak to people too much. They'll refrain from talking to people, and then some arrogance might come into them, and then they lag behind as far as their service to other people is concerned. No, Mu'min is someone who's multi-dimensional, should not be extremist in any way, and it should always act on moderation. So that's the explanation of zaytunatin la sharqiyatin wa la gharbiya. Next, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when he says Allahu nuru samawati wal ard, it means that Allah is the guide of heavens and the earth. As mentioned at other places in the Quran, it says a'ta kulla shay'in khalaqahu thumma hada. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave creation to all the things, and then he is the one who provided this guidance to them. And then at the end of this ayah, he also refers to it, Yahdi Allahu li nureh, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guides through his nur. So these two concepts basically go hand in hand, and it does make sense. Quran resembles, the resemblance Allah, with nur in this verse. So Allahu nur. It says Allah is nur. This resemblance that is being given, some pondering, we can deduce the features and the specifics of nur. So in order to understand this nur, I'll give you a few examples, and inshallah we'll get to the final tafsir of this ayah. Nur is the most delicate existence of the material world. Yes, this world that we live in, which is the material world, everything is materialistic in it. But this nur, which is also part of this material world, and therefore we label it as material, but it is the most delicate existence of the material world. And it is the source of beauty, it's the source of energy, and it's the source of life. right? Without it, life would be very, very difficult. Therefore, you don't have many people that live in the northern hemisphere or the southern hemisphere because they are lacking proper sunlight. Sometimes it never really gets too light. Daytime never really comes. It always remains dark. Or the 6 month long daytime and 6 month long nighttime as they go through, which is not normal. So therefore you don't find many people living there, and life is hampered. It's difficult to survive in such a place where there's not a regular 24-hour sunrise and sunset. In fact, it becomes very difficult for those who are praying and fasting. Now, what do you do in such a place where alhamdulillah, now as we are getting closer to the months which are cooler, in the month of Ramadan. But when the month of Ramadan was in the heart of summer, not too long ago, in the last couple of years, 2 3 years, it was coming right, late May and then June, and then when it was in July. You remember the sunrise and the sunset and the time of the fast was close to 18 hours. Um, some places in Europe, even in United Kingdom, not going too far north, such as Sweden and Norway, were just within United Kingdom. You find that there were 19 hours and some places 20 hours long fast. We were terrified that we were breaking our fast at say 8:35, 8:40, 8:45 maximum, right? It goes up to 8:45 here in the East Coast. But there were people who were breaking their fast at 9:30, 9:35, 9:45. So yes, indeed, it adds that one more hour, which makes it that much more difficult. So, what is the fatwa? What is the hukum if a person lives in a place where there isn't a proper 24 hours, right? Where there isn't any proper sunrise, there isn't any proper sunset. Or if there is, for example, there's only 1 hour of sunrise and then sunsets. For example, sun rises at 10 a.m. and then it sets at 11:30 or 12. Yeah, there are places like that. So how would you pray? Does that mean within that 2 hour window you have to perform your before sun rises you have to perform your fajr, and then once sun has risen you wait a little bit and then you do your dhuhr and asr, and then maghrib and isha right after sunset? No, that's not how it's going to be. It's still going to be spread out for the 24 hours. You will actually, for your salat, look at the closest town which has the normal 24 hours daylight, and sunrise and sunset hours. So you will follow their timing for your timing. But does that also apply to the month of Ramadan? Can you fast? I said no. When it comes to the month of Ramadan, you cannot fast in such a place where there isn't any proper sunrise and sunset. So people will be lucky, right? They say, well, sunrise is at 10 and then it sets at 11:30, 12 o'clock, 2 hours of fast. Or for example, if there isn't proper sunrise, it just remains, light. The sun really doesn't set, completely. So there isn't any sunrise or there isn't really any sunset. What do you do in that situation? So, well, the only thing that you can do in that situation is you move to a place where there's a proper 24-hour segment, and so that you can perform your fast. But of course, it's not going to be easy for people to move. Then you don't fast in the month of Ramadan, but after the month of Ramadan is over, you go to the place where there's a proper 24 hours time frame, and you go ahead and perform your fast, and that will be sufficient, and there won't be any kafara upon you. So there are ways that our fuqaha, when they were posed with these questions, they have explained it. Coming back to our discussion, that nur is the most delicate existence of this material world. And it is the source of beauty, it's the source of energy, and all the energy that we gain out of our, the sun. With the advancement of now pretty much all the houses have these solar panels installed, how much energy that we consume and how much energy we utilize and how much energy we're preserving. So this was something which did not exist too long ago, and alhamdulillah, humans are utilizing it. Nur, or light, travels the fastest in the material world, right? 162 or 168,000 miles an hour, or miles a second rather, 300,000 kilometers in a second, which means that it can circle around our globe, around our world, 8 times, 7 times in one blink, in 1 second. So that's how quick this light is. the trip, which would take a long time for normally for us, it will only take 7 times it will go around the globe in one blink of an eye. So this is why far away places, places which are millions of miles away and billions of miles away, they are not then calculated in millions and billions. Rather, they're calculated with light years, and that's how they consume it. So light year is a very long period. So if light travels in 1 second 300,000 kilometers, just imagine how much it would be in an hour, and then in a day, and then in a year. And that's how they go ahead and say, for example, so and so place is that many light years away. And because it's a very large number, so it's easy to go ahead and calculate in that. Nur is the means of distinguishing different bodies and existence. Without it, and nothing can be seen. Therefore, it is only apparent that it makes other things apparent, right? You can understand from the concept of your own eyesight, how there's this nur that reflects in your eye, and then that reflection then comes off, and then you're able to see the objects. And if those who lose this reflection and they don't have that ability, then they go blind. Sunlight is the most important nur of the world, of our world at least. In fact, it is the reason behind the existence of all living things. As I said before, without it, it'll be very difficult to live. In fact, it will be detrimental to our survival. The source of every type of energy except atomic is sunlight. Movement of clouds, rain, running water, waterfalls, and the movement of every existence leads up to sunlight if we pay little heed and little attention toward this concept, that how everything revolves around that. Sunlight destroys many microbes and insidious and harmful creatures. So that's also one of the favors of it, that without knowing, it goes ahead and kills a lot of these microbes, a lot of these bacteria. Sunlight is also amongst the purifying agents in our Islamic fiqh. So when you go through those agents which are used for purification, for example, water purifies everything, given that thing is not inherently najis like a dog or other things, which it cannot purify, but it purifies everything. Pretty much everything can be purified with water, but then there are other purifying agents as well. So amongst them is earth, amongst them is sun. So sun is also used as far as the purifying agent in Islamic fiqh. I guess this is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is being resembled as Nur, and it is not a surprise that people in ancient time used to worship the sun, right? With all of these benefits that are associated with the sun, and I only highlighted 7 or 8 things in front of you. Just imagine, when people only had this, that's why they were so amazed by the existence of sun, that they would go ahead and prostrate and they would go ahead and worship it. If there was anything by which we can resemble God, it would be Nur. Of course, there's no Laysa kamithlihi shay. There's nothing like God. And we read in Qul huwallahu ahad, Allahu samad, lam yalid wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. There's nothing that matches him, and there's nothing that is the like of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But it did not say kamithlihi. It said mathalahu, right? The example of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So its resemblance is given to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but of course nothing is like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But if anything by which we can resemble Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in order to understand, someone said, well, is there like a existence that I can figure? Yes, you can figure anything about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in your mind. Your imagination will take you. But that's probably not true. But if there's anything that we can resemble him by and understand that what he is, it's through the word nur, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a nur. Therefore, we see then, to better understand it, if this nur was taken away for a while, we would cease to exist. Like if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala removes his mercy from us for an instant, then of course we will perish as well. Quran refers to a few objects as nur. I mentioned a couple of them last night. First and foremost, Allahu nur samawati wal ard, that Allah is nur. We mentioned that. Second, faith and iman in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is also nur. يخرجهم من الظلمات إلى النور. This zulumat is referred to as kufr, disbelief, and nur over here in this ayat refers to iman and faith and belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Quran of course, we mentioned that it refers to as Nur in Surah Ma'idah, number 15. قَدْ جَاءَكُم مِّنَ اللَّهِ نُورٌ وَكِتَابٌ مُبِينٌ. For example, Quran, and then other places also Quran is referred to as Nur. Guidance, Hidayat, is referred to as Nur. Surah An'am 122, وَجَعَلْنَا لَهُ نُورًا يَمْشِي بِهِ فِي النَّاسِ. And we created for them this Nur by which people walk. So this guidance, this Hidayat, this, when someone comes and leads the path, that leading of the path is also referred to as Nur. Doctrine of Islam, Islam itself, and the doctrine that Islam brought also refers to as Nur. Yuriduna an yutfi'u nur Allah bi afwahihim wa ya'ba Allahu illa an yutimma nurahu. That they desire to put out the light of Allah with their mouths by blowing onto it, right? And Allah is intent on perfecting His light. What is the light of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? What does it refer to here in this context? In this context, it is referring to, the nur of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because the later part of the ayat talks about kuffar. They're the ones who are trying to put out the nur of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What were they trying to do? They were trying to squeeze and squash and extinguish this Islam, this doctrine, this religion that the Holy Prophet has brought. They were trying to oppose it, and they were trying to extinguish it. And therefore, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent this ayah. He says, Yuriduna an yutfa'u nur Allah bi afwahihim. They're trying to think that the desire on putting out this nur, but of course, Allah is intent on perfecting it. The more they suppress it, the more it will come out. And that's why you see 14 centuries later, Islam is one of the top. And of course, as far as the practicing religion is concerned, probably most, top of the list of all of the practicing religions in the world. Prophet's personality is a beacon of light, and that's why Quran refers to the Holy Prophet as da'iyan ila Allah bi'izneh wa sirajan munira. So the word munir comes from the nur as well. And in Surah Azab, it says that the Prophet is someone who calls people towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with his permission, with his command, and he's siraj, he's that lamp, and which is munir, which is lit up, which is illuminated. And then of course we read in ahadith, which I will skip tonight, that refer to the fact that Ma'sumin alayhim salatu wassalam are all anwar and nur as well. We see that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala here, and if I can just take you back a little bit on this discussion, the nur samawati wal ard means that due to Allah, the world that we live in attained guidance, beauty, illumination. Let me just go through some of these words. That this is why when we refer to Imam, Prophet, Quran, our faith, our religion as Nur, is because the stronger your connection is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the more you are illuminated. The more lights I put over here, the more I'll be illuminated, or this screen will be illuminated. Although I put enough lights, but there could be more lights over here. The more lights I put, the brighter the room gets. Remember the example that we had given last night, that if you put a lot of, within that hall that you see behind me, there are beautiful lights all around it. There could be more lights, but there are enough by which we can see all the beauty of that hall, the intricacies, the craftsmanship, all of that could be seen with the enough lighting that is put there. But you could add more lights if you wanted to. It may not look good, but you could add more light. Here it says, the more the light, more the nur, the brighter you will be. Simple phenomenon, right? The more light I put over here, the brighter the screen will get. Simple, physically speaking and spiritually speaking as well. Therefore, these things, in other words, every existing object benefits from the nur of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to the extent it relates itself to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Let me try and simplify this. The closer you are to Allah, again, take it out of the realm of thinking from the aspect that there's no physical aspect and bodily embodiment to Allah. But if there was, na'udhu billah, he's nur. So that nur, let's say, is somewhere. The closer you are to this nur, the brighter you are. Simple as that, right? The closer we are, our planet is to the sun, the brighter our planet is. If you move a little bit forward, then it'll be too hot for us to live. If you move back, then it'll be too cold for you to live. That's why Earth is situated in a perfect place where it's neither too hot to survive nor too cold to survive. It's right, perfect for us. That's moderation. But if you get too closer, of course, it'll brighten you up. That's why we see some of these planets lit up, although there's so many, hundreds of thousands of miles away. That's why Iman, Quran, Islam, Prophet, and Imams and knowledge are all called Nur, since they all are related to Allah with a deep, deep connection. And because of this deep connection, they are illuminated to that extent. We mentioned the word Mishkat, literally niche, lantern, vessel, for the Nur, for the lamp. Which protects the flame from the wind, usually inside a wall, to centralize, make the energy and the light, focus in that one specific vicinity. The word Zujaja literally means a clean stone. It is translated as glass because glass is very clean, it's shiny, and it glitters, and it's crystal. It's crystal clear. You can see through it. That's why you put a glass door, right? So you can see through the other side of it. That's what the word Zujaja here means. Misbah, again, the word misbah is very simple. We know the word misbah means lamp. Inna al-Hussein misbahul huda, that indeed Hussein is the lamp of guidance, the beacon, was safinatun najat, and he's the ark of salvation. Zaytun, we mentioned, is olive tree. All of that was mentioned. What I wanted to conclude with tonight, and this is why I have given these couple of nights of discussion on Nur. This is the hasil of it. This is the conclusion of it. This is why we did all this zahmat, not on my part, zahmat on your part of, hopefully listening to what I had to say. Albeit sometime it may have gotten dry and boring, but this was the reason for the zahmat, as to purpose behind it. That Allahu nur samawati wal ard. Inshallah, I'll take maybe 3 or 4 minutes to bring this conclusion. So hopefully you can pay attention. That Allah is the nur of samawat and earth. Mathalu nurihi kamishkat. The parable of his light is this lamp, this niche. In riwayat, this lamp is Fatimatu Zahra salamullahi alayha. Fiha misbahun. Where is there's a lamp? So you have the niche, and then you have this vessel, and then within this niche, what do you have? You have the lamp. Fiha misbahun. Imam Hassan Mushtaba alayhi salatu wassalam in riwayat is referred to as that lamp. Al misbahu fihi zujaja. And then the lamp is in a glass, right? Why is it in a glass? Because you don't want the air blowing in and out to put out this fire. It says, the riwayah says this, misbah, inna al-Hussein misbahul huda wa safinatun nijat. So Hussein ibn Ali alayhi salatu wassalam is that misbahun, al-misbahu fi zujaja. Az-zujajatu ka'annaha kawkabun durriyun. And this zujaja is like a glittering star, which has glued everything together, which is, keeping everything in shape and everything together. It says Fatimatu Zahra is kawkabun durriyun baina nisa'i ahli dunya. Amongst the women of the world, she is this kawkab durri, that glittering star. And then it says tuqadu min shajaratin mubaraka. It is lit from the blessed olive tree. Here, there are different riwayat, but the common one that is used and repeatedly mentioned by the Masumin is this Shajaratun Mubaraka refers to Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salatu wassalam. That Zaytunatin, that is that olive tree, La Sharqiyatin wala Gharbiya. He was neither too easterly nor too westerly, nor eastern, neither eastern nor western. They mention in the tafsir of it, La Yahudiyatin wala Nasraniya. That in reference to Hazrat Ibrahim, it is mentioned, Kana, Millata Ibrahim Hanifa. He was not Yahudiyan or Nasraniyan. He was neither that or this. He was Hanif as far as his deen is concerned. Yakadu zaytuha yudhi, that whose oil almost lights up. Doesn't, it almost lights up. It says kada al-ilmu yantiqu bil-haq, that it could be referring to this ilm or this knowledge which speaks about the truth. وَلَوْ لَمْ تَمْسَسْهُ, though fire should not touch it. Fire does not come close to it. It remains at a distance from it. Nurun ala nur. This is where it's important, that this is nur upon nur. Now, if I take you back a little bit, where the word Ibrahim has appeared, some riwayat, it mentions Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu wassalam. And then when it gets to nurun ala nur, light upon light, it says imamun minha ba'da imamin. Imams from the ma'asumin, after the second imam, third imam, fourth imam, fifth imam, up until the hujjat of our time, Imam Mahdi ajalallahu ta'ala farajahu sharif, because lawlal hujjatu lasakhatil ardu bi'ihliha. If there was not a wujud of the hujjat of Allah, then this earth will cease to exist. So we find that this nurun ala nur is imamun minha ba'da imamin. Imams after imams are this nurun ala nur. Yahdi Allahu linurihi man yasha. And it's that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guides with his nur. It says, what is this nur? We refer to that nur ala nur is imams after imams. It says, Yahdi Allahu li wilayatina man yasha. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guides them to our wilayat, whomever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wishes to guide. This is, in a gist, is the understanding, the actualization of this ayat of Quran. There were a lot of discussions in it that I skipped through, but I have run out of my time. Inshallah, tomorrow I'll conclude it, just to recap what we had discussed and some of the concluding points, inshallah, towards the end. Thank you very much for listening. Wa akhiru da'wana and alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. And before we go, inshallah, we will have the recitation of Dwama Gr4, for which I will call upon Abbas. Danish is deciding. Danish, go ahead. You can share your screen.
اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. سبحانك يا الله، تعاليت يا رحمن، أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا رحيم، تعاليت يا كريم، أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا ملك، تعاليت يا مالك، أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا قدوس، تعاليت يا سلام، أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا مؤمن، تعاليت يا محيمن، أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا عزيز، تعاليت يا جبار، أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا متكبر، تعاليت يا متجبر، أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا خالق، تعاليت يا بارئ، أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا مصور، تعاليت يا مقدر، أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا هادي، تعاليت يا باقي، أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا وهاب، تعاليت يا تواب، أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا فتاح، تعاليت يا مرتاح، أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا سيدي، تعاليت يا مولاي، أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا قريب، تعاليت يا رقيب. أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا مبدئ، تعاليت يا معيد. أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا حميد، تعاليت يا مجيد. أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا قديم، تعاليت يا عظيم. أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا غفور، تعاليت يا شكور. أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا شاهد، تعاليت يا شهيد. أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا حنان، تعاليت يا منان. أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا باعث، تعاليت يا وارث. أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا محيي، تعاليت يا مميت. أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا شفيق، تعاليت يا رفيق. أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا أنيس، تعاليت يا مؤنس. أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا جليل، تعاليت يا جميل. أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا خبير، تعاليت يا بصير. أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا حفي، تعاليت يا مليء. أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا معبود، تعاليت يا موجود. أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا غفار، تعاليت يا قهار. أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا مذكور، تعاليت يا مشكور. أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا جواد، تعاليت يا معاذ. أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا جمال، تعاليت يا جلال. أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا سابق، تعاليت يا رازق. تعاليت يا رازق. أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا صادق، تعاليت يا فالق. أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا سميع، تعاليت يا سريع. أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا رفيع، تعاليت يا بديع. أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا فعال، تعاليت يا متعال. أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا قاضي، تعاليت يا راضي. أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا قاهر، تعاليت يا طاهر. أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا عالم، تعاليت يا حاكم. أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا دائم، تعاليت يا قائم. أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا عاصم، تعاليت يا قاسم. أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا غني، تعاليت يا مغني. أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا وفي، تعاليت يا قوي. أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا كافي، تعاليت يا شافي. أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا مقدم، تعاليت يا مؤخر. أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا أول، تعاليت يا آخر. أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا ظاهر، تعاليت يا باطن. أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا رجاء، تعاليت يا مرتجى أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا ذا المن، تعاليت يا ذا الطول، أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا حي، تعاليت يا قيوم، أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا واحد، تعاليت يا أحد، أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا سيد، تعاليت يا صمد، أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا قدير، تعاليت يا كبير، أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا قدير، تعاليت يا كبير، أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا والي، تعاليت يا عالي، أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا علي، تعاليت يا أعلى، أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا ولي، تعاليت يا مولا، أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا ضارع، تعاليت يا بارئ، أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا خافز، تعاليت يا رافع، أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا مقسط، تعاليت يا جامع، أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا معز، تعاليت يا مذل، أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا حافظ، تعاليت يا حفيظ، أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا قادر، تعاليت يا مقتدر، أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا عليم، تعاليت يا حليم، أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا حكم، تعاليت يا حكيم، أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا معتي، تعاليت يا مانع، أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا ضار، تعاليت يا نافع، أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا مجيب، تعاليت يا حسيب، أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا عادل، تعاليت يا فاصل، أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا لطيف، تعاليت يا شريف، أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا رب، تعاليت يا حق، أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا ماجد، تعاليت يا واجد، أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا عفو، تعاليت يا منتقم، أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا واسع، تعاليت يا موسع، أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا رؤوف، تعاليت يا عطوف، أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا فرد، تعاليت يا وتر، أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا مقيت، تعاليت يا محيط، أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا وكيل، تعاليت يا عدل، أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا مبين، تعاليت يا متين، أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا بر، تعاليت يا ودود، أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا رشيد، تعاليت يا مرشد، أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا نور، تعاليت يا منور، أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا نصير، تعاليت يا ناصر، أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا صبور، تعاليت يا صابر أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا محصي تعاليت يا منشئ أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا سبحان تعاليت يا ديان أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا مغيث تعاليت يا غياث أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا فاطر تعاليت يا حاضر أجرنا من النار يا مجير. سبحانك يا ذي العز والجمال تباركت يا ذا الجبروت والجلال. سبحانك لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إني كنت من الظالمين. فاستجبنا له ونجيناه من الغم وكذلك ننجي المؤمنين. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله الأجمعين والحمد لله رب العالمين. وحسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
Thank you very much, Bas, for the beautiful recitation. Inshallah, we'll conclude the program with the ziyarat of Sayyid al-Shuhada, Ziyarat al-Warith, at the conclusion of the program. Please I have offered 2 rakat namaz of ziyarat after the ziyarat is recited. Assalamu alaikum ya Rasulullah, Assalamu alaikum ya Nabi Allah, Assalamu alaikum ya Habib Allah, Assalamu alaikum ya Khirat Allah, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alaikum ya Warith Adam Safatillah, Assalamu alaikum ya Warith Nuh Nabiyillah, Assalamu alaikum ya Warith Ibrahim Khalilillah, Assalamu alaikum ya Warith Isa Musa Kalimillah, Assalamu alaikum ya Warith Isa Ruhillah, Assalamu alaikum ya Warith Muhammadin Habibillah, Assalamu alaikum ya Warith Amir al-Mu'minin Waliyillah, Assalamu alaikum ya Ibn Muhammad al-Mustafa, Assalamu alaikum ya Ibn Ali al-Murtada, Assalamu alaikum ya Ibn Fatimah al-Zahra, Assalamu alaikum ya Ibn Khadijah al-Kubra, Assalamu alaikum ya Thar Allah wa Ibn Tharihi wal-Witr al-Mawtur. أشهد أنك قد أقمت الصلاة وآتيت الزكاة وأمرت بالمعروف ونهيت عن المنكر وطاعت الله ورسوله حتى أتاك اليقين. فلعن الله أمة قتلتك ولعن الله أمة ظلمتك ولعن الله أمة سمعت بذلك فرضيت به. يا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله أشهد أنك كنت نورا في الأصلاب الشامخة والأرحام المطهرة لم تنجسك الجاهلية بأنجاسها ولم تلبسك من مدلهمات ثيابها. وأشهد أنك من دعائم الدين وأركان المؤمنين. وأشهد أنك الإمام البر التقي الرضي الزكي الهادي المهدي. وأشهد أن الأئمة من ولدك كلمة التقوى وعلام الهدى والأروة الوثقى والحجة على أهل الدنيا. وأشهد الله وملائكته وأنبياءه ورسله أني بكم مؤمن وبيا بكم موقن بشرائع ديني وخواتيم عملي وقلبي لقلبكم سلم وأمري لأمركم متبع. صلوات الله عليكم وعلى أرواحكم وعلى أجسادكم وعلى أجسامكم وعلى شاهدكم وعلى غائبكم وعلى ظاهركم وعلى باطنكم. زيارة علي بن حسين. السلام عليك يا ابن رسول الله، السلام عليك يا ابن نبي الله، السلام عليك يا ابن أمير المؤمنين، السلام عليك يا ابن الحسين الشهيد، السلام عليك أيها الشهيد، السلام عليك أيها المظلوم وابن المظلوم. ولعن الله أمة قتلتك ولعن الله أمة ظلمتك ولعن الله أمة سمعت بذلك فرضيت به. زيارة الشهداء. السلام عليكم يا أولياء الله وأحباءه. السلام عليكم يا أصفياء الله وأوداءه. السلام عليكم يا أنصار دين الله. السلام عليكم يا أنصار رسول الله. السلام عليكم يا أنصار أمير المؤمنين. السلام عليكم يا أنصار فاطمة سيدة نساء العالمين. السلام عليكم يا أنصار أبي محمد الحسن بن علي الولي الناصر. السلام عليكم يا أنصار أبي عبد الله. بأبي أنتم وأمي طبتم وطابت الأرض التي فيها دفنتم وفزتم فوزا عظيما فيا ليتني كنت معكم فأفوز معكم. يا تهت عباس. السلام عليك يا أبا الفضل العباس ابن أمير المؤمنين. السلام عليك يا ابن سيد الوصيين. السلام عليك يا ابن أول القوم إسلاما وأقدمهم إيمانا وأقومهم بدين الله وأحوتهم على الإسلام. أشهد لقد نصحت لله ولرسوله ولأخيك فنعم الأخ المواسي. فلعن الله أمة قتلتك ولعن الله أمة ظلمتك ولعن الله أمة استحلت منك المحارم وانتهكت حرمة الإسلام. فنعم الأخ الصابر المجاهد المحامي الناصر والأخ الدافع عن أخيه المجيب إلى طاعة ربه الراغب فيما زهد فيه غيره من الثواب الجزيل والثناء الجميل. وألحقك الله بدرجة آبائك في جنات النعيم. السلام عليك يا غريب الغرباء. السلام عليك يا معين الضعفاء والفقراء. السلام عليك يا شمس الشموس عنيس النفوس أيها المدفون بأرض توسل ابن مصرما ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا صاحب الأسر والزمان. السلام عليك إمام الإنس والجان. السلام عليك يا شريك القرآن. أجل الله تعالى فرجك وسهل الله مخرجك وظهورك وجعلنا من أوانك وأنصارك ورحمة الله وبركاته. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد عجل فرجهم. That concludes the program tonight. Inshallah, join us tomorrow night with the recitation of Holy Quran at 7 p.m. With the tafsir, and inshallah the nightly program which starts at 9 p.m. at the moment. Until then, inshallah, take care of yourself. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.